Hey guys, welcome to our first driving test video for Barnsley Driving Test Center. Now this test took place on 2nd of August 2024 and the time for the test is 9:54 a.m. Now this test was a pass and I can't really remember how many minor faults it was on this test, but either way, let's go through the video and see what the test route looks like, see things that you might need to pay attention to, areas that you might want to take more precautions or be careful with, and also see what faults we can visually pick out from the video. So I hope you'd find this video useful, and if you've got any questions whatsoever, then leave a comment below and like the video if you find it useful. So let's get started. And just in case if this is your first time coming up on my channel, I do offer lots of videos for other driving test centers. So if you want to find other options, Sheffield is one good one that's close by to Barnsley that I've done a lot of videos on. So Sheffield Middlewood Driving Test Center and Sheffield Handsworth, I have done a lot of videos for those centers and a lot of tests as well and test route. And if you also prefer Rotherham, I've also posted a lot of videos for Rotherham Driving Test Centers. Rotherham Driving Test Center as well. And if you find yourself down south, then lots of videos for London. So Bromley, Heavy Green, lots of it. Just look through the channel and help yourself to whatever might work for you. I mean, I'm saying this because obviously it's difficult to find tests these days anyway, so you might consider finding tests in other centers and that. So this might just help you have a look and see what the routes looks like, see what the area looks like, and you can make a better informed choice on what is best for you. But from what I've seen so far with Barnsley, it would be very good for you if you are used to Middlewood. So a lot of the test routes so far on this particular video, there are some country roads, and that can only remind me of Middlewood Driving Test Center because they do have similar kind of road. So if you're good with this particular route, or you're good with particular roads like this one you're gonna see on this video, then Middlewood would be a second good choice for you. So from this point, there will be following signs for Doncaster A6133. So make sure position yourself in the correct lane, which in this case would be the middle lane, and maintain your lane as you go through that light. So from this point, you want to pay good attention to the floor markings. So the left lane is turning left only at the next traffic light, so you're going to end up with 2 lanes briefly, and it immediately changes to 3 lanes again. So your lane is going to become the middle lane again. It's very easy. Just look ahead of you and pay attention to the flow markings. The learner in this video, as you would notice, almost missed it again, but then luckily changes on time right at this point, as you'd see. But it's very easy. So pay attention to the flow markings, look ahead of you, and you'd be just fine. So A6133 at this point coming up ahead is then going left. And if you're sweeping the road for your signs, then you would realize at this point that this road is now becoming 40 miles per hour. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're making progress and keep up with speed if it's safe to do so. And from this point, remember to get in the correct lane in good time. So left lane for Sheffield or M1 South, and the right lane for Ward Green. If you're following your sat-nav especially, look out to that sign so that you put yourself in the correct lane. Sat-nav might guide you, but signs can be better. Also, be very careful at this traffic light because it can actually be confusing. When it goes green, you're going to get a green light for you and the oncoming traffic as well. Because the traffic coming from your right gets a green light alone while everyone else is on red, and also the lack of a giveaway line after you pass the traffic light. This might confuse you to think that you don't need to give way to the traffic coming up ahead of you. So bear in mind, you need to stop for oncoming traffic at this point. So here is the first pull up on the left on this test, and as you would see, the driver is actually taking good precautions by not parking in front of the driveway. That's very good. You should really only be putting up in front of a driveway only if the examiner actually tells you it's okay to pull up there, or you've been told specifically to pull up at that point. Otherwise, don't block a driveway. driver is turning right at this point, but don't be too focused that you forget the sign on the road you're turning into. So speed limit is changing as you turn into this road. And remember that the national speed limit on a single carriageway is 60, not 70. And that you should really only be worrying to get anywhere close to that number only if it's safe to do so. Which on this particular road, it would never be safe to get up to 60 miles an hour anyway. So pay attention and see what speed the driver is actually driving on this test. And that gives you, a good example of what the situation feels like and what, the speed you might even get up to here. Now, keep in mind, if I'm driving on this road, I probably will be driving faster than this, but that's because I'm an experienced driver and this is a learner driver. But yeah, that's really it. Work with your instructor and practice on the road, and get yourself familiar with your speed on that road at different times, and see how it goes. Now, I would not approach this bend the way the learner has done at this point, because keep in mind, any car could have been approaching from the road on your left here. I believe that he actually thought that the road was going straight ahead and only realized it when it got closer, hence that speed. So keep this in mind. If you're not sure, reduce your speed, especially on roads like this. And in case you have forgotten that we're still within the national speed zone, and yet we haven't actually driven past 30 miles an hour until this road, because remember, you should only be going as fast as it's safe to do so. So yeah. And so now they are in a 30-mile zone. But what you need to be asking yourself at this point is it really safe to be doing 30 on this road? So let your speed be reflective of what the road condition and situation is. So as you can see here, it's a residential road, parked cars left and right. And as a result of that, adjust your speed accordingly. So the learner has done just that, and no problem at all. And on this occasion, they are pulling up on the left in front of a driveway. So if you remember what I said at the beginning, this would only happen and you have no fault for it because the examiner has instructed you to pull up at that position. So keep that in mind. And remember, pay good attention to the pavement and the road when you're pulling up on the left on a main road like this. On this occasion, the driver has pulled up within a very reasonable distance from the pavement. If you don't pull up close enough to the curb, remember that what happens in this case is you're going to be too much into the road, thereby obstructing passing vehicles. This is the kind of situation that can give you a serious fault at worst, or a minor fault if you're lucky. And now you see how the speed changes from this point to 40 miles an hour. And what happens here is when you're not paying attention to the signs, you just assume that the speed still remains the same because you're still driving on the same road. So this is why it's very important. Don't be too focused. Let your mind be open and sweep the road as you drive along. And then up ahead of you again, that speed is changing from this point to the national speed limit. So remember, it's still a single carriageway, so it's gonna be 60 for your maximum and not 70. But again, I'd remind you again, your speed really should only be according to what is safe at the time of your driving. Now the first part is done, but remember that as you reverse out of the bay, do very good and effective observation. This is the point where a lot of people, fail their forward bay parking maneuver. Make sure you're looking well around as you reverse out of the bay. Be aware of anyone around you in the car park, any vehicle is moving or approaching you. Just pay good attention. And at the roundabout ahead, the driver was supposed to be turning right, third exit, but only realized it last minute and was already caught up in the wrong lane. So of course, he did the right thing, which is take the next safest option. So he went straight ahead, and the examiner tells you what to do next. So keep this in mind. Don't try to change lane into that right lane at that position, holding up traffic that's actually in the left lane. That wouldn't be safe. Follow the arrow on the floor. You've got two options here, either the left or the second exit. And just to remind you that although missing a road or a turn is not a big deal, you don't get faulted for it. But if you think that you can use this as a way to avoid difficult situations, then you might just be getting yourself into a big problem. Because keep in mind, you might take a wrong turn intentionally, but what you're going to meet on that road you've turned into is not something you're aware of. You don't know what you're going to meet in up ahead. It could just be anything random that you could have avoided if you had just dealt with what you need to deal with. So yes, if you're going to miss a road or a turn, let it be genuine. Because on the other hand as well, anyways, examiners would kind of have a feel. They kind of have a clue if someone is doing this intentionally just to get away from dealing with an instruction or a turn that's been told or that's been given. So keep this in mind. It is an opportunity that's been given to you so that you are doing the safe thing rather than trying to do something at all costs. So I'll give you an example of a learner in London who was supposed to continue straight on the road at a traffic light, but because of the way the road was, mistakenly took the left turn at the traffic light. Now the situation here is that if he had gone straight, he would have been turning right, third exit at the roundabout ahead. Now he's missed that turn and took the left at the traffic light, and because of that missed turn, he's now got two roundabouts to do. The first roundabout is a fifth exit right, and that's to take him towards the main original roundabout, and he failed at the first roundabout while taking the fifth exit. So keep this in mind. If you're doing this, you might just be getting yourself into a bigger problem. So if it's happened genuinely, that is totally fine. It's okay. God sees your heart, and I'm sure he will see you through. But if you're doing it intentionally, then just remember this story. You might be getting yourself into a bigger situation. Alright, so this is now heading to the test center towards the end of the test. So this is it really. To be honest, it's been a very good drive and I am very pleased. Now keep in mind, this is someone who has done most of his lessons in London, so it is very impressive. Now most London drivers, learning drivers, if you're faced with such a route, it is never the easiest to do because traffic in London is different. It's a different style of driving, so country roads is not something that you would have been doing a lot in London anyways. So coming into this kind of roads is either a learner is trying to drive too fast, keeping up with the national speed limit when it's clearly not safe to do so, or driving just way too slow through those bends. Those are the two options or the two scenarios that fail a lot of city drivers when they come into country. side roads. So yeah, he's done very, very well, and of course he passed and went off to London. So that's really it for this test. So I hope you find it useful. I've got another Barnsley test coming up, so I'm gonna be heading up to Barnsley in the next few weeks or days. So I will try and see if I can do some test route for Barnsley, but keep in mind, I mean, that is all going to depend on the reaction I get on this video, so that I'm not wasting time on videos that's not going to help a lot of people. So I hope you find this useful, and so if you do, remember, click the like button, share the video, leave a comment below if you've got any questions at all. Don't hesitate, leave a comment below, ask your question. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please subscribe to the channel and turn your notification button on, so that when I post new videos, you would get notifications and you don't miss anything. So yep, this is it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful. So I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed, all the best with your lessons, and best of luck with your driving test. Peace.